Hi, Stephen.
Debbie, behind the lens, how are you?
I am so excited to be talking to you after watching this film. I am in love with it.
Oh, that's really, really lovely. Well, look, it's lovely to be talking to you. I'm in Darwin in North Australia, and there's dragonflies hovering around everywhere. There's a change of season up here, and it's lovely to be talking to you as well. And I'm very thrilled to hear that you enjoyed the film.
I want the thing that jumped out at me immediately is your soundscape. I want a soundtrack just of all the ambient sounds of nature that you have.
That is nice.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
it's magical. It is magical to hear the flies, to hear the wind, to hear the snake, that scene with the snake slithering on the rock, and you can hear it. The sound is so impeccable, and it really puts us into the spirit of the Aboriginal people. And it's magical.
Oh, that's really heartening to know, and I know there's a lot of people, a lot of binning, and all my friends right across would really love hearing you say that, because it's so very much their story, so very much their connection to everything, which is what we were trying to convey with the sound, was that immersion, that whole idea that Yolngu and Binning people don't see themselves as living on or at country. They are country, they're part of it, and they're related and connected to every single sound and life force that is, the earth, the sky, the trees, everything. And it's a beautiful way to think and to be connected, and it's the oldest human connection on earth culturally, and it's a lovely thing to be a part of and to connect with and to work with and to dream with and to sing with and to actually, make a film that's trying to convey the essence of that. And the soundtrack, the song lines in the soundtrack, the milkery, the crying, the song lines themselves are telling deep, deep old stories about country and place and connection and identity and detail. And it was about really working with those elements with the elders and the families to make that a really important part of the dialogue, in a sense, the storytelling and what the film ultimately was wanting to feel for itself.
Oh, and you succeed on every level. I felt transported, emotionally transported, physically transported, and then, I could just close my eyes and listen to this film. But then you give us,
Yeah, you could,
yes,
yeah.
then you give us these glorious visuals, your overhead, your aerial shots, drone shots that give us this beautiful landscape. Your opening shot, oh my God. That I thought that would be the money shot of the film. No, you have so many more. But that opening shot with the pink sun, setting behind the rock, just blew my mind. And then we that connects us immediately with the people, with the story. And even though this is
Beautiful. Well, that just on that for you, that rock's called Nimbwa. It's the most sacred rock in Western Arnhem Land, and it's the dreaming place of the Junkalwoo sisters, the two sisters, creation sisters that came from the east and travelled right across, old and young sister, and they came to rest there. One looks east and one looks west, and as we come around that rock, I was hoping you would perhaps see the human form there looking to the east. There's a sort of almost a silhouetted
yeah, it's a
shot,
profile.
and there's two faces, one looks east, one looks west. Yeah, and they're the two sisters. So it's a very, very sacred place, and the song line that's been sung during that time is a healing song and a journey song. travelling across country and bringing us into the idea of this story. So it's lovely that you're affected in that way, because that's precisely what's going on.
Well, and throughout the telling of this story, your cinematographer, Andrew Comas, I mean, I'm familiar with Andrew's work, and to see what the two of you do here and the way he uses the camera to capture the faces, you just look at the faces of these people and you see life, you see history, and then you see it unfolding in this story. It's rare that I'm a big fan of this many close-ups, but they are so important in telling this story. And with every one, you feel more connected than the last. It's incredible what the two of you have done.
Look, it's so lovely to hear you say that, and it was, very much what we set out to do. And I mean, my early working with indigenous peoples, it was always about the detail, the human eye, what you see, the immersion of that. I mean, we went, I wanted to do this in Vista Vision S166, so we've got the height, we've got the width, you fall into it. So it's trying to give that human eye perspective and immersion in the world, and the use of wider angle lenses, and really every shot's handheld, it's alive, it's in the film as opposed to sitting outside it. And trying to capture that energy, that human life force, was very much what we were setting out to do, and to dive into those eyes and those landscapes, and to be immersed in the sound. So, to hear you say, responding to those things is really appreciated and very, very beautiful. And I can tell you that would mean, and I can't wait to update the elders and the families about, some of these things that I'm hearing from people like yourself, because that's sort of been part of our journey and process of wanting to put that feeling out there. And it's lovely to feel that people are responding to that, because it's coming from a really old place.
Mm-hmm. How did this story come to you, Stephen?
Well, look, it's Chris and I, Chris is the writer, and I have known each other for a very, very long time, and we previously made a film called Younger Boy. I was very, very lucky to have grown up in my life in the Bahamas first, then to Africa, and then we came out to Australia, North Australia. My father was an educator in remote schools, and I was always my friends were Indigenous people, and that was my contact. They were my relationships. There were the stories that came with that. And my perspective was very, very different on the world. It was that was my real life experience. And, going to school and hearing about whitefella history and Captain Cook arriving and all this shit about, nothing to do with settlement, but conquest and happening all around the place. But I got to hear the deeper story and the deeper truth about what took place in this country, and the idea that it is the oldest living culture on earth, the oldest human connection to country, that's still sung and celebrated through art and dance and all of this kind of stuff, and song and language. And really, that was my experience growing up, and I'd heard about the massacres, I'd heard about all these things, and I wasn't learning about it in school. And if ever I challenged the notion that there was a bigger story, it was just discarded, as that history has been in this country forever and a day. It's just been swept under the carpet. However, the song is coming out now. It's been sung strong by a lot of people, and Highground's in on that and a part of that song. And it's a big song, and it's something I grew up with, so it was very much a natural process for me. I gravitated towards wanting to let that voice be heard. I wanted to be heard. I wanted my friends to be heard, and I worked very closely with a band called Yothi Indi, who kind of spearheaded the whole idea of singing in traditional language in this country, and they had a big hit called Treaty, and that kind of went off internationally. And I've had these deep friendship. So it was very much a collaboration of us coming together and saying, look, let's tell the story of the resistance. Let's try and get into some truth telling about what happened to this country, and rethink the Australian story, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by the story. I mean, granted, I had heard, back in elementary school, back in the 60s and even the 70s in world history, you hear about the British massacres and to amass all of the territory of the Commonwealth, but never
Sure.
with the amount of detail that I have since tried to dig out, because stories like this always fascinate me. They always have.
Yeah.
So to see this be brought to life with this much emotionality and authenticity is just stunning. I'm really curious, how logistically challenging was this film? Because here you are, you're out there in plains area, you've got underwater shoots, you're up on cliffs, on rocks. So I'm curious, from a filmmaking standpoint, how logistically challenging was this?
Look, extremely challenging, but having grown up here and spent so much time on country and having such intimate and long friendships and trust and everything with the families and the traditional owners of all the country in the film, we were given access to extraordinary places. All of those places
Wow.
kind of were hooked in a meaningful way to the storytelling. A lot of the places had never been filmed before. We were giving special permissions to be on that country. Yes, it was very, very, very difficult. It was hot. It was challenging. It was kind of under-resourced. Ultimately, it's not I think the film's got a nice, big, epic sort of feel about it, but we certainly didn't have an epic budget. So it was always about, compromising and finding innovative ways to try and be in the right place with the light and to get in. I mean, we were sung into country. People, in some of the places are very special. So each crew member was, kind of put into the waters. Everyone was told about the story and how to respect the country. Ancestors were spoken to before we came into film. So there's a beautiful kind of spiritual kind of song being sung around the whole production everywhere we went. So there's a lovely energy force kind of guiding us and taking us on the journey. But yeah, look, it was hard yakka, it was hot, but everybody was so committed to telling this story, and each of the Ballender cast were really on a life-changing journey. They'd never seen or been immersed in indigenous, Yolngu Binin culture like this before. It's not the sort of experience many people get to have. And there's an intimacy there, there's an acceptance there, there's a learning there, and everyone had their own kind of special journey. So there was this incredible energy each day to get there, to make this happen. And it was beautiful in that way. And I mean that I think that just that heart that everyone had for wanting to make this happen, the determination was there to sort of overcome all obstacles and to just push everyone to push themselves to the limit to make this happen. And it was a wonderful thing to be a part of.
I would be remiss, Stephen, not to ask you about the casting, and most notably this wonderful chemistry between Simon Baker and Jacob. Jacob,
Beautiful.
oh my God, he is the camera loves him. He is magical.
Isn't he magical? Isn't he beautiful? Here you go. I'll get through this for you. The whole relationship that you're seeing play out on the screen between Simon and Jake was kind of like a real life relationship, because you had this Hollywood movie star, you had a young kid from the bush who had his royalty. He's like a prince. It was where the film is shot is on his grandfather's estate. I'd spoken to his grandfather 25 years earlier about telling the story of the resistance. He and I had sat down and discussed the idea of making this film. He wanted the story told. I said, let's do that, old man. He has passed away. Jacob was born during the process of the making of the film and became the lead actor of the film. So it's like the idea of this story predates his birth. It's almost like he was sung into the role of this story. That's how they're kind of seeing it in Arnhem Land. But no, with Simon and Jacob, Simon had never really been in that part of the world before. So there was this beautiful on-screen, off-screen relationship, kind of love story, friendship, father-son thing that was playing out in real life, which is what was happening on the screen. There's a beautiful, respectful chemistry between the two of them. There was language in the mix, and there was guidance, and the role that Travis plays is this kind of stoic, kind of dark horse, but this young boy's looking at him, they're looking at each other, they're kind of playing the game, and that was actually how it was for the two of them. So it's truthful, it's real, and we just allowed that to unfold in a very natural way on the screen. And Simon was just beautiful, the way that he nurtured and worked with Jacob, and how Jacob accepted Simon and looked up to him, and all of those kind of things just are there on the screen. There's a truth to it, and a journey that Simon and Jacob were having, and therefore Travis and Kujuk. And as you say, it does play out on the screen. It's beautiful, it's understated, it's real, and there's an incredible truth to it all. It's really, really special. And very proud of all of that.
And you really see that in that third act, in those final moments. You see that bond. One is saving one is saving the other, and the hands clasp. That shot that Andrew gets of the hands holding hands in those final moments. Oh my God! Bring on the tissues.
Yeah, good.
Bring on the tissues, because the tears flow in that moment. Let me tell you. I mean, just.
That's so good to know.
One last question.
It was beautiful. See, I'll just quickly put you in that moment. So Jacob's father had passed away, and we sat down and we had a discussion about things before we shot that scene, and we talked about how he had felt when his father had passed away. His father was called Lionel. He's called his little boy Lionel. We just talked about him and Simon, about loss, about ceremony, about Milkity, which is the song lines that go with Sorry Business and connection, reconnection to country and all this kind of stuff. And he was just so in the moment with Simon. There was genuine love and friendship and connection, and he just tapped into something very deep within his own self, as did Simon. And it was like this, as I say to you, this real life friendship playing out, and Simon and Jacob were just emotionally connected to where they were in that moment, and what it all meant to them both in different ways. And it was very special. I was crying on the day too.
I mean, just even thinking about it and talking to you about that moment, I'm tearing up. That's how powerful that is. But one last question before I let you go, Stephen.
Yeah.
I could talk to you forever about this film, but...
Yeah, no worries.
I'm curious, what did you take away from making this film, telling this story, that you will take with you into life, into future films that you make? Because this is such a powerful and important story.
All right. Well, look, for me, I think through all of my experiences and my growing up and having this incredible insight and connection to young and beginning people, which is ultimately a deep connection to myself. I've sort of figured about who I am and where I fit in this world, and that I'm, we're all human, and we all have that deep connection to country. We are all stardust. And what do I take away from this? I feel like it's very, very important to live my best life, to live my truth, to pursue that each day when I wake up, and to see what's there before me, and just be honest and open to making sure I don't waste a moment, and to enjoy each day, to be honest and appreciate what is before me, and that's about seeing the world around you and knowing that you're a part of it. And it's a very beautiful place to be. We're blessed with the thing we call life, and there's a culture out there, and a language and a song and a dance and art and a connection to the idea of that is deep and human and alive, and it's something we could all learn through, connect through, to who we all are for our own selves. To be self, to be yourself is the most beautiful thing, and to be appreciated and seen in that way and respected in that way.
Yeah, this life is as important today, what you're showing us. It's as relevant today as it was when the massacres occurred back in 1919.
100%. In some respects, yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%. And I just hope that the story, over there, you're part of the world, that people will go and see the film and appreciate the film in perhaps the ways you have, because it's hard to know how it'll go over there.
If for no other reason, it's a beautiful film to see. They'll walk away from a beautiful film.
That's good. That's
Stephen,
good.
I can't thank you enough.
Oh.
This has been a delight.
Oh, well, it's been lovely talking with you two. And look, hey, who knows, down the dreaming track of life, we might even get to say hi to each other one day. But lovely to talk to you. I love your energy on the phone. I can get you, amazing person yourself. And thank you so much for your support and your lovely questions today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
And I hope I get to talk to you again in the future, Stephen.
No worries. I'm always there for you. Just, you know how to get hold of me. No problem.
Oh, thank you so much, Stephen.
All right. You take care and have
You
a
too.
beautiful day there.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Chujitna. Goodbye.
Bye.